Welcome, Nikki Palamountain. Thank you so much for coming on today and explaining a little bit about yourself and what you do. And we're really, really excited to have you on the ARC Education NZ.
Thank you, Calli. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So, Nikki, let's get straight into it so that we're not keeping people hanging around. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you've come to do what you're doing?
Well, you know my name, that's good, got that out of the way, but I am formerly a teacher and have been in the education system for many, many years. Don't want to put a figure on that. And always noticed that there were these kids that would, for no reason, act out or burst into tears or be just struggling along, and it didn't kind of matter what you did with them. They just could not overcome their learning barriers. And so I really knew very little about dyslexia, and we certainly didn't cover much in detail very much at Teachers College. So it was kind of new, and my own son turned out to be dyslexic, and I thought, oh, well, I didn't even know anything about that either. So, and so it sort of got to the stage where a change in personal circumstances allowed me the opportunity to retrain as a Davis correction facilitator. And I have been just doing the dyslexia correction program with my clients, which has been a really amazing experience. So, and very life-changing for them, being able to make sense of what they read and see.
Absolutely, absolutely. Having been through the whole program myself as a dyslexic, I know how life-changing it is.
Yes.
And Nikki, are you still teaching as well?
No, I'm not. No, I gave up teaching last year. I just got so fed up with the education system and the way that our lovely, bright students just patted on the head and sort of said, oh, you know, he's a bit dyslexic, you know, we'll just give him more phonics, blah, blah. And really that's, it's not addressed any further than that, which is disappointing for me. So absolutely. I left the education system and have been just doing Davis programs ever since. So, and I have also just started doing tutoring. So I thought, well, I've got these skills, and lots of people can't afford the whole program for a Davis because it, you know, it isn't inexpensive. But I can definitely use the learnings from my training at Davis and apply them to tutoring. And I thought, well, I'm just going to offer that as well to my clients.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you've told us a little bit about what you do already, but what actually inspires you to do what you do?
Oh,
Nikki?
Inspires me is just seeing the transformation in these kids after they do the Davis program. And you know yourself, Calli, you know, they wander in and their lips dragging on the ground and they're feeling stink about themselves. And one boy in particular could hardly, you know, would barely talk to me, let alone look at me. That was on the first day. And then by day 3, he'd lifted his chin up a bit and figured out, well, yeah, he could actually do some stuff and he was succeeding. And I think by about day 6, he was just about leaping out the door. And the transformation from seeing that personal growth and empowerment in a client in just those few days it just makes me want to do it. You know, I want to spread the word to everybody because it can be done, and these barriers that they're having and learning challenges can be overcome.
Absolutely. I think that so many people are almost resigned to the fact that dyslexia or any kind of neurodiversity is a disability, and I put that in. Whereas it's not at all, it's more a different way of thinking. And if you can tune into their way of thinking, then they learn better.
Absolutely. And we say that just having dyslexia is a gift because of that diverse way of thinking. You know, these dyslexic people people with dyslexia are the most amazing problem solvers and out of the box thinkers and creative people. And, you know, that's such a talent. So, I mean, dis really means difficulty with, and lexic means, you know, language. So, I mean, difficulty with language, well, it's just a barrier to be overcome, you know. If you ask me to do anything to be with engineering or what have you like that, I would have absolutely no clue. So, you know, it's not a barrier that's a disability at all or a disadvantage. It should be something that's embraced, and using the skills that we teach through Davis, it can be overcome, and you know, these people can go on to just live successful and productive lives, you know. So yeah.
And actually being dyslexic doesn't necessarily mean that you will never be a good reader or writer either.
No.
I'm dyslexic. I'm biologically dyslexic. I was one of the very few people in my generation who were diagnosed dyslexic many years ago. And we won't say how many. But I'm an avid writer. I love to write. I could never spell, but I was an avid writer, and reading has always been a bit of a struggle. It's slow for me. But after I did the Davis Dyslexia program in 2016, I was able to do my master's without any problems because reading had become an absolute pleasure again.
Well, that is amazing. What a great result for you, you know, and it just shows you, you know, by investing in an intervention such as Davis, you know, the results you can achieve, you know, and yes.
And I was an adult, obviously.
Yes.
So who do you work with, Nikki?
Well, I mean, I work from anyone 8 to 88, you know, but I mean, I've got the Young Learners program available. So I often say from 5 to 95, you know, so there's no age limits or barriers. So if you're ready to learn, then we're ready to teach you. In fact, I was talking to a 70-year-old just yesterday who said, you know, I've decided I really need to sort myself out. And I thought, well, you know, you go, girl. Yeah.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Absolutely. And it is a miraculous program, no matter what anybody says about, you know, about it not being that way. As you said, you know, before, there's a very strong push for structured literacy at the moment in schools, to the exclusion of everything else as well, which is never a good thing in my opinion.
I agree. And I mean, I know there's a place for structured literacy, but it just doesn't cater for everybody, you know, and I just think the education system is still trying to jam square pegs in round holes, and it just isn't working for those people that get, you know, that have a learning challenge. And for a person that's a visual thinker, which is what most dyslexic people are, is trying to learn anything phonetically is just a nightmare because it's just such an abstract concept. So, I mean,
well, phonics never made any sense to me until I was an adult.
Well, I read my case, yeah.
Yeah, simply because actually dyslexics read with the right side of their brain, and the phonetic processing side of the brain is the left side of the brain. That's the only side that actually processes sounds, phonemes. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, and the beauty of the Davis program is we make it so that it is geared towards visual learning, you know, so by the use of the clay and doing the alphabet and the models and everything else like that, and just it makes everything make sense so they can see it in their brain and they can recall easily and instantly those pictures in their brain. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it was so lovely speaking with you, Nikki. And if you want to get hold of Nikki, please go to www.thearcheducation.nz and have a look under Find an Educator. Nikki is in our directory and readily available. Nikki, before we go, do you do online work as well, or is it all face?
My preference is to work one-on-one because I just feel that you give more of yourself to it, and your client gets more out of that one-on-one experience. However,
energetic exchanges.
So never say never. If an online program was required, then I'd certainly look at it, because I know people do live in remote areas or can't always get into town or get there to a facilitator, so it's certainly an option, and we would make anything work.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, and we will see you again soon, I'm sure, and perhaps on a webinar or something else to do with the archeducation.
Lovely. Thank you so much for having me, Calli. It was just a pleasure to be with you tonight.
Thank you, Nikki.